war on Iran, hoping not to be hit back. Well, the last one they did, they went and targeted the Iranian embassy, I think, in Syria. The Europeans were lukewarm about it. The Europeans didn't say anything. They said, well, Israel have a right to fight back, especially after October 7th. Israel was provoked into this attack. Therefore, the Israelis have the right to fight back. Let's pacify them and make things better. I'm sure the French President Emmanuel Macron will be in France today and scratching his head. I'm sure the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer will be um, in London today and scratching his head. And then the Americans, the CIA, the Pentagon, that have instigated this conflict. Remember the last time Trump was in power? Trump fought with them through to the end not to instigate this conflict. And now these guys are all over the place. Anytime they see a chink in the armor, they see a crack, they instigate war. And the president will have to be the commander in chief to bear responsibility. The President Trump have to come out every day and answer to every question about what is going on. And the White House will have to come out and answer to continue to provoke, not to provoke per se, to continue to respond to what the Israelis are doing. Tel Aviv is on fire. Tel Aviv is burning as we speak. Thank you so much for the updates. We see what is going on. So my question to you guys is, because a lot of Israelis online and they're showing videos and say, "Oh, nothing is happening," yada yada yada, and their European allies or counterparts are showing, a different picture. They're showing, "Oh, hang on a second, the Iranians are actually fighting back." Well, don't forget that Israel actually took out some of people within the chain of command. And we don't really know the details of that. But at the end of the day, we are looking at the reality on the ground. And this is a situation, it's a very fluid situation. It's a situation that has been engineered and created by Israel, backed up and engineered by the CIA, by the Pentagon. Because again, over the past 7, 8 years, from the Biden first Trump administration, Biden, and they continue to engineer conflict. Now we have a situation in our hands in the Middle East with the current situation between Russia and Ukraine yet to dissipate. We are now dealing with an issue happening on the ground in real time. What is America going to do at this point? What do you think the US will do? Because if you look at what is coming out from the White House, the reports coming from there is that the Americans are saying, "Oh, we are not involved in this. We are going to make sure we try to do the deal with the Iranians." Why the hell did you pull out of the Joint Comprehensive Peace Agreement, the JCPOA, that was signed between the Iranians, the Europeans, the G5 plus one, including Germany, in 2015? Against all odds, President Obama was able to pull off that agreement, and Trump made a promise that if he comes to office, he's going to rip off the agreement, and he did that. It was not the best deal, but it was a manageable deal because they saw this coming. Well, the neocons in Washington, D.C., people like Chuck Schumer, people like, what's his name, they all want war. They've been saying this for 10, 15 years. They want war with Iran. And this is where we are today. This is exactly what they've been looking for. They've been saying it. These guys have not been hiding it. It's the reality on the ground that America have been angling for war. So you cannot turn around today and tell me, "Oh, the US is not doing that. The US does not want war with Iran," yada, yada, yada. The reality on the ground is that it's happening. So what next? We are hearing reports that the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, have boarded a plane. He's left Israel. He's on his way to Cyprus or to Greece, where he'll be spending some time, in quotes. Israel is not the biggest place. Israel is a small piece of turf. Take a look at the map. Well, if the Iranians are able to put on and stabilize the front, neutralize the Israelis, if they are able to take down 2, 3, 4 planes, the Israelis would think twice about coming into their airspace regularly. And once they're able to do this, they will stabilize their airspace. And once that happens, what next? It's going to be attack upon attack in Tel Aviv. And once that happens again, what do you hear from media around the world? What do you begin to hear from Israelis across the spectrum? They hate the Jews. This is what you start hearing. These people will tell you what they did to them, but will never tell you what they did. And this is not the first time. It's not the second time. It's not the third time. It won't be the last time. We have seen this over and over again. What were you expecting? You start the war with Iran, and what were you expecting? And by the way, as we speak right now, the gloves are off. And some Israelis are saying on social media, they are saying online that that this could basically what they are saying is that the Iranians should be careful not to target civilian areas, even from the European media and from the European press. They are saying that Israel carried out attack against military targets, so they are watching to see how Iran reacts, and that Iran should be careful not to go to civilian areas. No, 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 no. This is not how it works. By the way, I've been listening to the Israeli argument for over 2 years or close to 2 years, and they are bombing every single building, every living thing in Gaza. And the excuse they are giving is that they hit them first, therefore they have a right to hit back. Exactly. So the Iranians can make the same argument and saying schools, hospitals, uh, children nurseries, everywhere in Israel is now an open field. It is fair game. There's no excuse at this point. Nobody will run around and say, "Oh, but this is not the game. This is not. This is against the Geneva Convention. This is against international law." We're talking about terrorism in the region. These have been festered. These have been created by who? By the United States of America. I'll repeat one more time. All of this is happening because of America. This has been engineered by the United States. So you can blame them all you want and say, well, you see, the Israelis have been provoked and yada, yada, yada. And you are trying to make us understand there's no reason, there's no excuse for this. This was unprovoked. America was having some sort of negotiations with Iran about their nuclear program, which the Iranians have always claimed was for civilian purpose. This is the position of Iran. It has always been the position of Iran from day one that the nuclear program is for civilian purpose. And Israel is saying, well, we don't care. You're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to even have any sort of ballistic missile program. You're not allowed to have rocket technology. You're not allowed to shoot your satellite into space. This is what Iran, because they believe that if Iran have the ability, they have the technological know-how, and they are provided with the technological ability either by the Chinese or by Russia, that they will rival them in the region. And the excuse that they have been engineering and making over the years is that it's not just Israel. I mean, look at Saudi Arabia, look at the United Arab Emirates, and look at Turkey. All of them don't want Iran to have the nukes. This is the argument. This is what these guys have been saying. So they are using that for their own benefit and advantage. And I've warned and I say it again. Egypt is next. Everything you guys are enabling and tacitly supporting and encouraging Israel to do and the United States of America to do in the region, when it finally hit Egypt, most of us will also be here to see. We will see. Israel will do to Egypt what they are doing to Iran, because I see the mood in the region. Lukewarm, some are saying, well, we don't like Israel, but we don't like Iran either. And you're somehow cock-a-hoop about it. It's the same thing that happened in Syria when they removed Bashar al-Assad, and I saw the mood in the region. I saw the deep-seated primordial tensions in the region, which is basically sectarianism. And I see this Arab and Muslim world and countries in the Middle East not lifting one single finger, not saying anything at this point because it is convenient. I mean, random people on TikTok like myself and on YouTube and other app are running around and giving the analysis, whether it's a political position that they are taking, and others are saying it from their own point of view. But the reality on the ground is that the leaders in this region are picking a particular position that is biased, that is sectarian based, that is more or less, I don't care. They don't care because it's not happening to them. Eventually it will come. And we are going to see all this big, beautiful building in the United Arab Emirates, Burj Al Arab, Burj Al Dubai, Burj Khalifa. All this stuff will be knocked down one by one because Iran is already saying that this is not just about Israel, it is the United States of America, and calling for unity among their people and rallying. This is a rallying call from Iran, by the way, telling their citizens that this is not about Israel, this is about the United States of America. And they are probably right. This is about the United States of America, because if you make it about America, you have a bigger target. You expand the scope of operation. This is not just about Israel, it's about the United States of America. So let's see what is happening. At least 150 Israeli targets hit during Operation True Promise 3. This is according to the um, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, have put out a statement that they have struck 150 targets during the retaliatory operation against the Israeli regime, including several critical strategic military bases. I don't want to hear this. This is not what I want to see. Go straight to the civilian areas. Very important. I don't want, look, if you don't inflict pain on them, meaning, and the Israelis are saying it themselves, this is where the idea of the Dahia doctrine comes from. I'm sick. It's boring. Talking about military targets and strategic targets is too academic. It is academic. Hospitals, schools, go for the soft target and let them pay a price. Go for the soft target so they can pay the price. Nobody's going to take you seriously if you are coming with all this platitude of, oh, strategic infrastructure, civilian areas, and so on and so forth. We are tired of this BS. Civilian infrastructure for what? Nobody's going to take that seriously. Inflict pain on those that want to inflict pain on you. This is the only language they understand. I'll take you back to 2013 or 2014 when the Chinese president Xi Jinping became the chairman of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, and there was this renegade within the naval corps within their military called General I think it's called Field I don't know within the naval rank, but the high ranking officer, his name is Luo Yuan. He said that the Chinese army should consider targeting 2 US aircraft carrier and taking out 10,000 American personnel, sinking them down the ocean, because this is what America takes seriously. America is not interested in threats and platitudes. It's the same thing with Israel. I'm so tired of Iran making the same case about strategic targets, about the rules of war, about engaging in targeting military infrastructure. No, that's all BS. Go straight for the jugular. Target military bases, fine, but go for those civilian areas to put pressure on the political leadership. This is the Israeli idea, it's not mine. It's called the Dahia Doctrine. How would these people take you seriously when you're running around making noise about, oh, we targeted military infrastructure, strategic assets, and all of this is very vague? We can't even confirm. Inflict serious pain, go to the markets, go to civilian areas so there will be price to pay. Target them and hit them hard so there will be a price to pay. The Iranians are making too much noise and making too much drama, giving platitudes. The world does not want to hear that. The Israelis are not going to play with you. These guys don't play around. If you want people to take you seriously, and I'm telling Iran right now, forget about strategic targets, forget about military installations. Israel is very small. Go for the markets, go for the civilian areas, go to the schools. This is what the language that these guys understand. This is how I deeply feel, and this is why countries like Egypt should monitor this carefully. And this is an opportunity for them to get nuclear weapons and point it directly against the foe to create some kind of balance and deterrence. These guys don't joke around. I mean, look at their history. They don't play. So if people in Tehran are going to be listening to their government that is giving all sorts of platitudes and talking about, oh, we strategic targets, we hit key infrastructure, military targets, all of it is BS. Right now, let's look at the Dahia Doctrine. And this was a doctrine postulated by a guy called Gadi Eisenkot, or whatever you want to call him, who was one of the front commanders during the war against Lebanon in 2006. Let's look at what the Dahia Doctrine says. It's called the Dahia Doctrine. And the Israelis know it themselves. They like to inflict pain on punched on the face during October 7th, and that the gloves are off. This is what I respect. Do exactly the same thing to them. These guys don't respect you. They don't care because you're making too much noise. The Iranians are talking too much. And there was even a funny time that they said the Supreme Leader of Iran said, oh, that there's a fatwa that because it's an Islamic republic, we are not allowed to own the nukes and so on and so forth. And they kept prolonging this. This would have been done a long time ago. Go advance on the 1-2 years project, get the warhead and point it towards where it needs to go. That's all I'm saying. All talk, 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 talk. There's nothing happening. I'm sick of this. Don't play with these guys. They don't play. These guys are not playing with you. So why the hell are you playing with them? What is all this nonsense about civilian, military targets, strategic areas? No, 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 no. Go for the soft targets. This is the only way the J people will respect you. Exactly with the Americans. Look at what they did to them in Afghanistan and in Lebanon. And it was being said that they are soft, lazy, weak, and ruled by the J's. Hit them and they will run under the cover of darkness. Most of you are not paying attention to what is going on. I'm so sick of Iran trying to pacify. It's the same strategy that Neville Chamberlain had in the lead up to the Second World War. Pacification, pacify, international law, principles. No, F all that and go for the jugular. Don't forget about the military targets. In order to inflict pain on the enemy, go for the civilians. This is all I care for. The moment I start seeing you going for schools, that is what I want to see. Because that's exactly what they did to you. Why are you running around pacifying? Why are you running around giving us excuses? We are tired of all of that. I'm looking at the news and it's exactly the same thing. Every time I look at the news, it's exactly the same thing. Strategic targets, military infrastructure, we hit all of it vague with no real instances of what you have done. But if you knock down a school with a load of young people inside, then it makes the news. That's what you need to do right now. That is exactly what you need to do. There's no point faking it. Go straight for the jugular and hit them where it's hot so that their children can pay the price for what they do to other people's children. Why is this radical? Is this crazy? No, it's not. This is what they are doing to you. And on the other hand, they want to dictate rules for you. This is the way the West thinks. The West wants to do to you what they don't want you to do to them. They love their own children, but don't mind knocking out your own kids. It's all nonsense. I'm tired of all these excuses. Excuses every time. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is weak. Go for the jugular. Talk about military targets all you want. F all that. Go straight to the soft targets. If you want to raise the stake just a little bit and see how they react. And if Iran is able to do this, no matter the outcome, next time Israel will think twice before embarking on this. There should be a price to pay. Target those people that are soft. The soft targets is the most important area, nothing else. Nothing else matters at this point. Dumb munitions, civilian areas, that is golden. Iran's objective right now is to identify civilian areas. I couldn't be clearer than that. Iran's main objective right now should be strategic, you say strategic, dumb, blind targeting of especially civilian areas so they can raise the stake. This is what they are doing. The Israelis are doing this to you. Look, they started by saying they've been warning and saying, oh, we are going to target Iran, we are going to target they launched the war. And in history again, these same people will write a history and tell you it's a defensive war. Oh, these guys will write the history in 10 years. This is happening in our lifetime. We have heard of the war in 67, the war in 73, the Suez War in the 50s. We've heard of they call it the Independence War, the War of 1948. And most of us were not born then. Few of us were born then. And now in your history books, they are telling you all of it is defensive war. Now you're seeing this in real time with Israel launching an attack on Iran, preemptive attack on Iran. And in 5-10 years' time, in academia, they will be trying to shoehorn into it to make us believe that it's a defensive war. that it's a war, it's a defensive war. Or they'll coin another phrase and say it is preemptive. This is what we've been seeing. These guys control everything. They control the media. They control even, they control academia. They are the ones that will give license to different publishing companies. So they decide to put in the books whatever they want. And they're teaching all that nonsense in Africa. It is about time for us to kick them out of Africa. The educational system needs a complete overhaul in Africa. And my target demographic is Africa. I want you guys to see clearly what these guys are doing. And for those of you that are blinded by religion and ethnicity and your hatred for the Arab and Muslims and your hatred for everything about the global south, where you come from, this is happening in real time. I promise you. I am promising you they will come for you and they will come for your head when the time is right, and they will do it very soon. They are doing it step by step. And why are you guys so blinded by what is going on? Why on earth are you not seeing this? And what is your excuse at this point? Why is the IRGC and Iran giving me excuses? Talking about platitudes, strategic targets, military targets. No. The role of Iran right now is to go and target civilian areas and raise the stake. If you want to prevent this from happening again to other countries, raise the fucking stake. Pardon my French. Raise the stake. Schools, hospitals, nursery homes, psychiatric wards, everything is fair game. You got hit first, the gloves are off. Raise the stake so that thing you are looking for, you can bring America finally back into the Persian Gulf, brought them down there, tie the Americans into an existential war in the region, free up the hands of China, decapitate America, fuck up their economy, and they can go down the toilet so we can have an alternative system. The Russians are already bleeding America and the Europeans in Ukraine. Start another measure because the Americans are trying right now to extricate themselves from whatever is going on and saying they are not involved in this. This is not about us and so on and so forth. No, I want America to be brought in, and this is why they are using Israel as a cover and using them as a front. What were these Yahoo thinking? What were they thinking? That they can go to Iran, bomb and go back home. Well, they discovered that bombing 2 nuclear sites in Iran and going back home is going to be met with enormous consequence. Now they cannot stop, so they have to target the key, not the rank and file, but the top ranking officers, those in the chain of command. Now the next one is they are going to go for the supreme leader, and Iran cannot sit back there and say, let's wait until the storm settles. This is not going to be like the Israeli attack on the Iranian embassy. The moment Israel attacked the Syrian embassy, people were warning that Iran's soft landing or lukewarm approach to the response against Israel is what is giving Israel the green light. And people warned at the beginning that the way Iran decided to respond symbolically, rather than real response, will bring about Israel doing it over and over again. And they were right. The analysts were right about everything. The moment Israel decided it was okay to go and target the foreign embassy and consulate abroad, and that there will be no price to pay, the Europeans pacifying, always in a policy of appeasement to Israel and say, oh, we love our Yehud, we love these people, they have been targeted for over 300 years. How do we appease them? Are you surprised that right now in Indonesia, in Ghana, and across the world, people cannot separate politics from their emotions and are targeting everything that moves, that starts with the J? And I'm so sick of all these platitudes and excuses coming from Iran. Why are we getting excuses from Iran, for God's sake? What is the purpose? What is the real purpose of these excuses we keep getting from Iran? And they're telling us, oh, well, with strategic target, we have to, key infrastructure. Look at the Jerusalem area. It is densely packed. Go there and look for them. I mean, what we call them, how do you call them? Settlements. Go to the north and target Ma'alot. Take coordinates. Avivim, go to Sderot, Ashkelon. They are cities where you have this population, civilian population concentration. Go there and raise the stake. I'm not interested in you targeting military targets. No, the gloves are off. The Israelis said exactly the same thing. Israel gave the excuse that because Hamas hit them on October 7th and they attacked them, you know, preemptively, if you like, or wage the war against them, they will go there. And Israel is doing what? Targeting civilian areas. They don't care. They're making the excuses, and the Europeans say they're right. The Americans are saying they're right. Most Christians around the world are saying they're right. I mean, some people are saying this is wrong, by the way. And some Christians around the world are waking up to the reality and saying, no, 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 no. This does not represent us. But we have hardcore evangelicals in America saying that this is okay because we want, it's called, they want the apocalypse. What is the other word? Eschatology. Based on the idea of eschatology. And you have people around the world that think it is okay to go and target other people's kids, but not their own. There is this saying in my local language that if you see the corpse of another family or of another community, it looks like a log of wood until it happens to you. But I don't understand. I'm looking at the Iranian news right now. I'm looking at the Iranian news and I'm getting platitudes. I'm getting excuses. At least 150 Israeli targets hit during Operation True Promise 3. This is the senior IRGC official. Now let's look at what he's saying. A senior Iranian military official said at least 150 targets were struck during retaliatory operations against Israeli regime, including several critical strategic military bases. What a load of nonsense. What a load of nonsense. Military targets. Are you mad? No. The support comes from the populace. Raise the stake and force the fucking populace to take a different opinion. No. It's not about military targets. You don't understand. There's no symmetry. Israel have advanced warplanes and you have rockets from 30 years ago. No. Raise the stake. Raise the damn stake. I'm looking at, and they're flying all these rockets. They're trying to target military bases. In a place in Israel, it's like you have a sitting duck. It is a tiny piece of turf, very small in size. Everything you have, unload it on Jerusalem. Hit the nerve center, raise the stake. Imagine Iran recording 10,000 civilian casualties in Israel and see the difference. Imagine that Iran records scored 10,000 or 15,000 civilians in Israel and see the difference. You think these guys care about you? So, oh, we cannot say that about them. This rhetoric is dangerous. We cannot say that about them. Go and listen to the Yahudi rhetoric and see what they're saying. Hear what they're saying. They don't care about you. These guys don't give a shit. They basically have a doctrine called the Dahia Doctrine, which is calling for an attack on civilian areas to raise the stake and put pressure on the military and political leadership. You think if you actually take 10, 15 to 20,000 casualties from Tel Aviv alone, they'll still be on TikTok saying all these things they're saying? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they will have a change of mind. I think they will genuinely think differently if the stakes are high. They will change their mind if the stakes are high. I repeat, if the stakes are high, these guys will not be all over TikTok and all over the internet saying all these things. They're only doing this because there's no consequence. There is no consequence. And let's look at what other media outlets are saying. And by the way, the biggest hypocrites are the Europeans. I don't see the Europeans running around and condemning Israel. I don't see Ursula von der Leyen, the former NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, and the current one. I don't see leaders Emmanuel Macron, moving table and chairs and moving all the utensils in the kitchen to condemn Israel. This was launched by Israel. Israel launched this operation unprovoked. Well, the reason they are giving is that they don't think that the Iranians are civilized enough to have nukes. They don't think the Iranians are civilized and smart enough and that they should be allowed to have technological transfer from China and from Russia. This is what Israel is saying. And the Americans agree with them. Iran have no problem with the United States of America. Iran's problem is with Israel. Well, some are making up excuses and saying, well, look at what happened, in 1979, the hostage crisis and so on and so forth. We can also make the same argument that Israel have attacked an American vessel during the war in 1967, but they are still allies, right? So if the Iranians took some hostages as a result of the collapse of the government of the Shah, Mohammed Reza Pahlavi, which the Americans, by the way, supported, and the British, because the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company have been intervening and meddling in Iranian politics from even the 50s during the removal of Mossadegh. So they have always been targeting Iran. Iran is in a strategic position. Iran at this point have nothing to lose. And it's about time the leadership in Iran wake up and make some real damn sacrifice. I'm tired of all these platitudes. I'm looking online and I'm seeing from the Iranian media saying we hit 150 military targets. You think the Yahudim care about that? You think the Israelis care about that? Military targets. What the F are you talking about? Military targets. Who gives a shit? No. Raise the fucking stake. Raise the stake by putting pressure on the civilian population. Score 10, 20, 50,000 casualties, civilians, and raise the damn stake. The thing these guys don't like is when they are unalive. They don't want to be unalive, but they want to do it to others. They don't want others to do it to them. They look at other people's children as log of wood and bricks. But when it happens to them, then that's the problem. You see on the Western press and media about how they're targeting whitey people and J kids and so on and so forth. You are not seeing that now because Israel is the one that started it. The Western press will be reserved, they will be domiciled about it. They will say, well, but we understand Israel. Always understand. It is a direct policy of appeasement. But this gives, I would argue, that this now gives Russia to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine and put an end to what is going on there so that they can refocus and rebalance the region. This is the only way. It's a waste of time. Just smash through and use mustard and poison gas in the area so we can have peace. Once and for all. How about we exterminate and remove everybody from the world and start all over again? Because at this point, this is what it's looking like. And who's starting it? Every time something big happens, it's the same people. How come? First World War, the same people. The Bolshevik Revolution, the same people. The Second World War, the same people. The major wars in Europe were instigated and started because of the same people. And if you go on the Western press, they are trying so hard to distort the narrative. I don't know why people still watch CNN and BBC for fuck. Look, pardon my French. Why? Why do you guys still go on this Western press and waste your time? They are lying to you. They are not telling you the reality. They are not telling you the reality. And you have all these watered down remarks, including the Russians that are trying to somehow pacify Israel and say, well, Putin is saying Israel's aggression considered blatant. No. Violation of international law. This is too diplomatic. If you have signed some kind of strategic agreement with Iran, give them nukes. Give them nukes so they can somehow think about using it in Tel Aviv. Strategic ones. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to be honest. You think these guys respect all this platitude and all these watered down remarks? You think these people care about what you're saying? No, they don't. They don't give a shit. They only listen to you and pay attention to you when they are hit, when you are serious. And the Israelis do exactly the same thing. Israel goes to Yemen not just because of military targets. Israel wants to turn the populace against the government, and they hit civilian areas and take casualties. They do serious civilian body counts and go home. And on the Iranian side, I'm hearing excuses. If the military targets are too difficult, go to markets, schools, and other places and raise the damn stake. Raise the stake. This is already wasting my time. Somehow, when you talk to them, you're supposed to be cordial and polished and politically correct. But when they talk, the gloves are off. They're not confined by anything. They are not guided by anything, so to speak. They don't care. They just say whatever they want. They have been saying it for months. They want the Arabs out. They don't like the Muslims. They don't like anybody that is brown. They don't like people that look like them. And they're making effort every day to say, oh, well, we're not really like that. We're not this and that. This is what I keep hearing. For those of you following me on Twitter, I'm going to post that video there. They don't care. These guys don't care about anybody. And why should we be pacifying them? Why are we in the business of pacifying them? Go to civilian areas just like they do to others, based on the idea that they postulated themselves, called the Dahia Doctrine. People are talking about Netanyahu fled to Greece. I'm not interested in that. The only thing that can change the game right now is Iran does exactly what it needs to do. Forget about military targets. Go after the civilians everywhere they are. Raise the stake so they can think twice again before doing it to you or any other person. And if they dare to use nuclear weapons, then the gloves are off. That will be the beginning of the end of that state. What is the excuse at this point? Why are we wasting time? The Yehudim don't have the same feelings about you. They don't care. They don't think about you in that way. And you, every day, you're crying and making excuses. Even at the point the Supreme Leader gave a fatwa that Iran cannot have nukes. They allowed Israel to gain the political oxygen in the region. They allowed them to gain some kind of power in the region. And this message is also for the Turks, for the Saudis, and for Egypt. Egypt will be next. And I'll be sitting down here and looking at you guys in the eye and say, yes, you supported Israel at the beginning. You gave them the green light to do whatever they are doing, and this is now your turn. These guys are worried about some kind of stuff. Look, talking about, oh, I mean, the Israelis, you have to, the attack on them and so on and so forth. We're tired of all this nonsense. We are tired of this shit. At the end of the day, Israel does not care. And this is why they're clearly, and it's clear for everybody to see now. This is a blatant violation of international law. Why the hell am I talking about international law at this point? F international law, F the UN, it doesn't exist. It's about realism and power. The Iranians should have known this. I don't want to turn my news on again and seeing that the Iranians hit 15 military targets, 5 strategic. It's vague. It's ambiguous. We don't even understand what that means. What does that mean in body count? In reality, how many civilians have you taken out? And of course, these guys don't care. To them, it's about hitting civilian areas. This is what Israel is known for. And this is what people should do to them. Yes. Yes. All right. All right. No time for ad hominems. Yeah, to his question about America, somehow give. I didn't say America asked Israel to do it, but America gave the green light. The U.S. knew about this. They knew Israel was going to do it. They gave the green light to it. I mean, look at the past 10 years. This is 2025. Trump came to power in 2016, tore up the Joint Comprehensive Peace Agreement to pacify his masters. He said, I'm going to destroy Iran. I mean, all the rhetoric coming from Washington, D.C. And we have also known that for a fact that America, the system in America is structured in such a way that even if the president is kind of lukewarm or not really insistent on something, the CIA, the Pentagon, and the State Department force his hand or do something, and then he's forced to stand for it. And we saw that. He said it himself, that they nearly went to war without his approval. The Pentagon. This not jobs. They go to war and think about it later. They were in constant communication, and just 3 days ago, they told their embassy to evacuate. They knew this was coming. They knew this was coming. How the hell did they ask non-essential workers in Iraq and other places to evacuate just 2-3 days ago? The Americans knew about this. And I'm not talking about just what is going on in Iran. I'm talking about the situation in Lebanon and Syria and Gaza. America gave a green light to it. America is enabling this. This will not be possible without the United States of America. And America knows for a fact that if Israel did it, they'll be dragged into a conflict. And America will eventually be dragged in. So I'm not going to listen to any Yehudim telling me whatever about the United States, because the guy is clearly ignorant. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Go ahead.
Hello, God bless Israel. God bless the United States. We succeeded to eliminate the Iranian regime. Thanks God.
Is that all you have to say?
And I want to say,
well, I mean, if you're saying glory, glory to Israel, glory to the United States of America, this is not over. I mean, you threw the first punch, and we don't even know where this is going to lead up to. This is what I'm saying, guys. The only reason this kind of people can stop talking is when Iran scores a high number of civilian targets. Don't go for military targets. It's waste of time. Go for the soft targets. I say it again, those soft targets are the ones that raise the stake. Go for those of them that are supporting this. And the Israelis said it themselves, and they talked about the Dahya doctrine, if you remember. Israel does not care. Israel will do to you what you are afraid to do to them. These guys will use gas against you. They will target your children and women. Why don't you do it to them? And I'm looking at the Iranian press, and I'm not satisfied at all. It's all nonsense. It's all them trying to, at this point, what do you have to lose? Trying to look good politically before the international community that doesn't exist. There's no international community, my friend. There is no international community. What on earth are you talking about, international community? It does not exist. Do to Israel what Israel is doing to you. Take a clue from what Israel is doing in Gaza. Go to Tel Aviv, Sderot, Avivim, Maalot, Modon Elite, Beta Elite, Ma'ale Adumim, Ariel, Efrat. Most of the settlements, those are the ones that you have, the Ashkenaz, the people that are economically backing this war. Those ones raise the stake by targeting the soft ones. Target the soft ones among them and raise the stake. Make them cry. Do to them what they are doing to others. Make them cry. Make them go to burial grounds and graves every day. And by the way, I don't know why these guys are still thinking that at this point in time, we have time to be politically correct and run around and say, oh, don't do this, the international community, military target, strategic target, yada, 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 and all these excuses you give me every day. I'm tired of these excuses. These are excuses, excuses, excuses. Do to Israel, do to the Yehudim what they are doing to you. Raise the damn stake. Raise the stake and do to them what they are doing to you. Well, The Israelis knew for a fact that what they were getting themselves into. Was this going to be 1981? They go and carry out one target or multiple targets against Iraqi nuclear program in Iraq and went home. What is Israel thinking? That by going and attacking targets in Iran, as they claim, nuclear facilities, civilian infrastructure, assassinating their political leaders, the command structure of the IRGC, targeting this key infrastructure to make themselves look strong and powerful, hoping that America will now step in and bully Iran not to fight back. Well, something is really going on that you guys are not paying attention to. If you notice over the past 12 to 24 hours, America have been very adamant about their position. We are not involved in this. We told the Israelis not to do it. The reason they are saying it is because they are ostentatiously visible. They are there for you to see. They are sitting ducks. Look at Basra. The proximity between Basra in Iraq and the proximity between Basra in Iraq and Kuwait is very close. And then you have the Hashd al-Shabi, or what they call the Popular Mobilization Forces. These boys are loyal to Iran. Kataib Hezbollah, Kataib Imam Ali, the Badr Brigade, Jaish al-Mahdi, and so on and so forth. 150,000 strong militia in Iraq activated. Well, we don't know the position that the Iraqi government is taking, which is largely also Shia. So what the hell are you guys waiting for? These guys are not just coming for them. They are coming for you in Iraq to finish the job. The Americans have an unfinished business in Iraq, and they are coming back. They will do to you what they did to Syria again. Do you understand? I don't know why we are missing the plot. Raise the damn stake. Make it difficult for them to do it again. They have to think twice before doing it again. They are doing the reason, again, I will go back. Israel is slow and sleepwalking into chaos because you have a prime minister that have barely had any sleep for the past 2 years, that is already numb to the realities of life. It's just like a soldier in the war front. He's exhausted and is numb to fear. He's numb to the realities on the ground. These guys think they are in the trenches, and the leaders are taking the same position, loaded up with a lot of narcotics every day. They are not making decisions from a sane point of view, from a sane mind. And you have the neocons in America and the military-industrial complex that wants to cash out. And they're asking these guys to do their bidding on the field. The only way you can raise the stake is to make sure it doesn't happen again, and make sure you take casualties in their own people, the young ones, civilian areas, schools. The same thing they are doing to you. I'm tired of these Iranians making noise and telling me about military targets. It doesn't exist. Forget about the military target. Israel is a very tiny piece of land. Use carpet bombing and munitions and put it in places where you know for a fact that the people that are residing there are civilians. I don't know. I mean, am I the only one here that have lost my mind? The Israelis are saying that. The Israelis are saying that about you. They're saying that about your children. They're saying that about your own people. And you are afraid of saying that about them?
You didn't lose your mind. Honest to God, you didn't lose your mind. You think if they could do that, they will not do that? They cannot do that. They don't have the capability to do that. What you describing and what you think. You've never been in a war, so you don't know how war works. But listen to me very careful. They cannot do that. They don't have the capability of doing. They are 40 years behind in army technology compared to Israel. All the Middle East, not just Iran, all the Middle East combined. You gotta understand where we're coming from.
And Sami?
Think yourself about this country that called that little strip that called Israel. You might gonna change your mind.
Sami, you convince me. You are absolutely right, and I agree with you 100%. These guys, these Arab countries are still in the dark ages. They are just like Africa. They are heading camels, and they still want to pacify you and the Americans, and they believe that by being your slave and pacifying you more, they're going to get more money. I'm talking about the Gulf countries. And I'm seeing what you are doing to Iran right now. And you're absolutely right. Iran probably does not have the capability to do to them. I'm not stupid. I can see clearly that there's a disparity in their military power and strength. And this is a clear warning for Turkey, clearly, and for Egypt, clearly, and for the camel headers in Saudi Arabia and the UAE that are pacifying you because the corrupt regimes and these guys that claim to be religious in power in those countries are enabling this to happen. And you're right, Israel is technologically superior to them. I'm not blinded by that. I'm just angry that they're all sitting down in their couches and some of them tacitly supporting it, some of them not saying one word. And I guarantee you, Egypt will be next in the firing line. They're going to do it to Egypt. It will be in my lifetime. I can see that happening. Egypt will be targeted, and when Egypt is targeted, Israel is going to blow Egypt up. All this idea, I see them running around and say, oh, they cannot do it to us. They will do it to Egypt. And they will send Egypt back to the Stone Age. By the way, this is not me. This is me telling it as it is. And I'm so tired of, I look at the Iranian news and they're telling me about military targets, strategic targets. No. The only way to raise the stake in conflict like this when the gloves are off is go for the civilians. Go for the damn civilians. I'm so tired of this nonsense. Jerusalem, Sderot, Maalot, Avivim, Ma'ale Adumim. Go to places, modern elite, go to places where you have civilian population, especially the Ashkenaz. Those are the high price. Go for them and take 50 to 30,000 casualties so you can rebalance the stake and raise the stake even more. And when you do that, you push them just a little bit to using the nuclear weapons. And let's see what happens in the world.
My brother, thank you for having me up. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I 100% agree with you. I think that Iran needs to do to Israel what Israel did to them. Like, Israel was very strategic, and I believe that they worked with the U.S. in this attack, and they took out their top people. And yeah, like, Iran needs to do that. Why are you sending like hundreds of missiles to just random things? Just
empty land. Empty land.
Empty land, like, exactly. Take out their top people.
No, that's not even what I'm saying. I think you're wrong about what I think. Yeah, hold on, Sammy.
Let me ask that lady a question. You think for one second, that if they had the capability of taking our leader, they will not do that? They don't know how to do that. We ahead of them 40 years in technology. No, I think a lot of people.
And by the way, Sammy's right. Sammy, I last year I was sitting down thinking 10, 15 years ago, not 15 years ago, about 18 years ago, the Supreme Leader came out and said that there is a fatwa. It's either you're going for the nuclear weapons to have them or you don't have it altogether. Don't put your country in between and squander all this money and waste everybody's time. If Iran wants the nuke, 2, 3, 5 years project, get it done. If you don't want, roll back on it and move on. And take the deal. By the way, you're sandwiched in between. You say you're going to have it, then there's this fatwa, a so-called fatwa from the Supreme Leader, saying, oh, we don't want to have nukes, it's all for civilian purposes. And they make their position ambiguous, playing politics with Israel. The Yehudim don't joke. They don't play around. They kick your ass all day long, and that's exactly what they're doing. And I'm going to give props to Israel. The Israelis are smart. I don't care.
No, we know how to read between the lines, which you don't. That's why you fair country wherever you live. We know how to read things between the lines. That's why we are successful in what we do. You guys don't understand. They're ruthless and they're smart. They're just ruthless people. Even the host shout, can you repeat that? His own country. He don't even talk about what's going on in Africa. Look at you jumping up and talking against America. You want to destroy.
All right. This is another Christian extremist Igbo guy from Nigeria that knows nothing about the region. He doesn't have the political awareness. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Okay, all right. I'm gonna make sure you don't interrupt me. He's not educated on the topic, and he's pissed off that I'm talking about a topic that he doesn't like. Clearly, I don't want to go into all of that, but I know his reason. I'm not here talking, I'm talking about international politics. So if you have no knowledge on international politics and you're angry with your wife, just go somewhere. I don't have time for that nonsense right now. I'm going to do whatever I want. Okay? This is my position. So don't come here and tell me what to talk about. This is my live stream. If I want, I could have opened my live stream and talk about how to sell donkeys. I've decided to talk about international politics. You brought yourself here. If this topic does not interest you, go to live stream where they are selling carrots.
But they're such idiots because they fail to realize how all of this is tied in. We're under this.
No, they're not. They're not. He's an Igbo guy from Nigeria that believes that his ancestors were Jews. So this is why this is his mentality. This is the way he thinks.
Oppressed by Israel as well. Africa is oppressed by the West as well. So that's why we have to fight for the oppressed, because if we don't fight for the oppressed, we'll never be free. If you don't have somebody to blame, who are you going to blame on your failure country? You have to point the finger. So that makes you feel better by pointing the finger. This is what the problem with the Arab country. They're pointing the finger. Instead of
no, but hold on. But excuse me. I want to say this clearly. It's not about pointing fingers. That's not what I'm talking about. It's about the fact that there is a problem that is building up, that is festering, that we don't see. Egypt is Africa. For those of you complaining, there's conflict going on in Sudan. What is happening right now will also draw in other actors in Libya. We're already hearing of tensions in Libya between forces loyal to renegade General Khalifa Haftar and the other forces in Tobruk. A lot of Africans, young Africans, instead of you might not agree with my position. I want you guys to educate yourself and say it's not your problem. This is the last thing I want you to say. I don't care, the Jews have been attacked, these are Christian brothers. This is not what it is. Pay attention to the reality. A lot of you have watched Hollywood. By the way, look at the people doing this, people in their 30s and 40s. Most young people in Africa now are seeing a different picture. They are not blindsided by religion. And by the way, for those of us in Africa, this part of Africa, the main problem, and I will say this for a fact, is that there's bad blood between the sedentary African people, particularly those of them of Niger Congo origin like myself, that are mostly Christian, and the Arabized North. In Nigeria, there's a similar problem between the Hausa Fulani in the north and those of them in the south. And most of them pick this picture and try to understand international politics from that lens. I don't want to discuss with people with this kind of mindset. If somebody comes up on my panel and wants to discuss the history behind Iran and Israel, and by the way, I'm agreeing with you, Sami, that there's technological deficit in the Arab and the Muslim world and in Africa. And this is why Israel have the superiority in terms of tech. I want to talk to you because we would never agree on anything, but you are not as fanatical and as blindsided and as dark age brain as some of these people that just come up and try to defend their religion. I'm not here for that game.
All right. So first of all, I'm Igbo, and I don't believe our ancestors were Jews, so I don't know where that is coming from. Second of all, I think you are, speaking from an emotional standpoint at this point in time, because you look at the stage, right? What is Iran going to achieve by targeting civilians? First of all, they are going to shift the general public support, because if they target civilians willingly, I know they are doing, but they are not good at the job. But if they become good at the job at targeting civilians, the support is going to tilt. You understand? And not just that alone, you're going to see countries that are going to come into this war with the justification that, look at Iran, this is what they always wanted to do for the longest of time. They're going after civilians. So this is the legitimate to probably topple the regime. So
very good point.
I think you're being emotional.
No, I'm not. Hold on. When I say hold on, you hold on. I listened to your first line and I heard what you said. And I'm not being emotional. I'm just being energetic about this topic. Everything I'm saying is in sync with whatever I believe and what I've seen. But you made a very good point. In the real world, in reality, in the real world, if Iran starts targeting civilians, it's going to change the public perception. But look at Gaza and look at what Israel have done to civilians. Have it changed the public perception by the power brokers, by the guys that have the real power towards Israel? Have anything really changed? Look at the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And Ukraine, by the way, have unalived a lot of Russian civilians. The Russians, by the way, have taken less civilian casualties with more power than Ukraine have done to Russian civilians. Why? Because Ukraine is seen to be defending itself. The public perception you're talking about is people around the world. Most people now understand that Israel does not listen to that. Israel did it in Lebanon. By the way, you're not familiar with this. Take this down from me. It's called the down here doctrine. Somebody write it in the comment for him and he will understand. In the real world, as things ought to be, what you're saying is 150% accurate. Iran should try as much as possible to avoid civilian casualties so it can have public support on its side. But this is not the case. Iran at this point have nothing to lose. Israel is going for the jugular. Israel at this point is not just going to hit the nuclear facilities. They are going for the government. They want regime change. And this is not going to stop. This is going to go on and on and on. But the only way to raise the stake and draw in some kind of public intervention, and I mean the United States, and raise the stake even further to prevent this from ever happening again, is when Iran does what I'm saying. Israel is doing it in Gaza. I don't see America stopping aid to them because of that. I don't see the Europeans saying one word. I don't see the Europeans saying anything about what Israel have done. No matter what Israel does, it is going to be the same. If Iran decides, no, we're not going to attack them, and even refuse to attack them, we still take the blame. This is not what the real world is. For you, you're looking at what ought to be the United Nations, international law, the Geneva Conventions. The Israelis have thrown that out of the window. And you can see clearly from their position what they are doing. And you are saying, and what you're saying is accurate. If Nigeria and Cameroon are fighting and maybe the support for both sides, there's no real connection between America and any of these countries, then you can talk about the application of international law and the idea of perception. This is not the case. If Iran targets only the top and even unalive Bibi, the West is still going to complain and blame Iran. Right now, they are already blaming Iran. This war was launched preemptively. By the way, before you and I were born, if you look at your record books, all they have told us in the record books is that Israel fought all the wars and are defensive wars. Israel did not launch any war. And now we are seeing this in real time. In the next 5 years, you are going to see it in your books that this is a defensive war.
All right, brother, look, we both Nigerian, I'm able to understand as well, but just like I said, I don't think it's usual. If you look at what Iran is doing right now, and you supporting Iran have said that they are going to attack the United States bases that is all around the world.
Yes.
So do you agree, like you are saying that they should attack civilians just to draw America again?
Yes.
Do you think that it would be faster for them to just keep attacking civilians and then just attack the bases just to draw them in anyway?
Yes.
Okay, you think that would be a faster approach?
Mm-hmm.
So do you know this? Don't you think that Iran is basically taking their own grave?
No. This is the problem. You see it from a very one-directional, methodical. No, hold on. You're seeing it from an orthodox perspective. America have more to lose than Israel. I'll explain why. By the way, this is the thing, right? Please, and you're a smart guy. You sound like a very smart guy. If you follow the trajectory, I want you to do this every day of your life and understand what I'm saying. America is trying at all costs to avoid getting involved in the region. President Trump was there just a month ago and signed an agreement worth close to $1 trillion with the Gulf countries and the countries around. This is not just a political war, this is also an economic war. For Iran, America is ostentatiously visible in the region. So when they get involved with Iran, what will happen is that America will get drawn into the region, the bases will be targeted, the oil fields in Saudi Arabia will go, the economic belt in the UAE will be brought down, Bahrain will be targeted by the Hajj al-Ashabi. There will be more actors when America gets involved in it. Now, it is one direction. Look, if you're talking about Iran, the goal now is to remove the regime. And if they continue to degrade it, that thing you are afraid of will eventually happen. This is the goal, and this is what they are going to do right now. So why don't Iran raise the stake? Raise the stake by taking these two decisions and get America involved in and free up the hand of China. What we need right now is an alternative structure and system. If America is dragged in with the current conflict going on in Ukraine and the resources they are poured into that conflict, with the Europeans being war weary, with what is happening between India and Pakistan, If America gets involved, you are going to be seeing uprising and in the Baloch area. I know this region better than most of you. In Balochistan right now, there's tension growing, and the Indians are also instigating. If you take a look at the map, Iran is the corridor between South Asia and West Asia. I'm not emotional, I'm just putting my energy so you can understand. In order to raise the stake, you have to resuscitate and resume the war between Pakistan and India. When America gets involved, insurgency in Balochistan is going to start. Pakistan and India will start fighting. The conflict in the region will escalate and exacerbate. Bringing America into the region, it will be a costly economic war for America. America will have to lopsidedly move their assets from Asia Pacific, free up the hand of China. China becomes the dominant hegemon in Asia Pacific. Checkmate. This is why the Chinese have refused to get involved in even one of them. This is why the Chinese are taking the posture. But this is not just about the war between Iran. Iran is the assets. Look at what the war between Russia and Ukraine is doing to the West. It's already bleeding the West in ways that you don't see it. This is why America wants and begging God at all costs for this not to happen. But there are crazy people behind the scene. I don't even believe that Trump wants this to happen. But Trump is the president of America. He doesn't control most of the shit. The Pentagon is running. During the first tenure, he came out to say because he doesn't keep his mouth open. They wanted to start this during his first tenure. He tried at all costs, and General Mike Milley and all these other guys went behind him and wanted to start shit. This is what you need to understand. This is not just about Iran looking for. You're saying, well, Israel is the smaller enemy. Why are you going to now poke America and get America involved in it, and eventually it will be too much for them? No, that's not the point. Iran will go down no matter what, but at the fight, not without the fight. And if they decapitate the regime, like you're saying, I believe that America will bomb Iran to dust and bomb the key infrastructure and everywhere in Iran in a matter of 1-2 weeks. And then they will need boots on the ground. This is what we have been begging for. Boots on the ground, 50,000 American, 150,000 American personnel pulled into Iran with yeah, just like in Afghanistan. Thank you very much. And by the way, Iran, one more thing. The war with Iran is a war between Armenia and Azerbaijan in the Caspian. Central Asia will burn up because there are different allies, and this is why Israel alone is not enough. And the other way to raise the stake, America is running away. Right now, as we speak, America says, no. It's not because America is scared of Iran. Iran is paper tiger. It is the implication. This is what we want, and this is what the Chinese are begging. The Russians are begging. They want America to bring in 150,000 troops so that the Russians can have some freedom in Ukraine to finally finish the job. So that the Chinese can have some freedom in Asia Pacific to finish the job. This is a consequential war for America started by the Yehudim state in Israel. So this is not, Israel can take on Iran, and if it becomes a war of attrition, they will do away with the regime. But it's bigger than that.
Speak, you might want to be educated. So
Educated, I don't know. You don't look. Sammy, I'm not competing with you. I know this region more than you. You are from Israel. You probably know about Israel. I know about the dynamics, geopolitical situation in the region, and you don't.
My general opinion on this is that, first of all, I've seen the government of Iran, like, what I would say extremism, because I don't think that any government in the same mind should be chanting death to another country openly. Even if you mean it in your heart, you shouldn't be saying it openly. That is one. So with that kind of antecedent, I don't think that they should have looks, my own opinion. Secondly, I don't know what you think about the civilian population in Iran that actually genuinely want a regime change. Talking about people that want their government in exile. So what do you think about the government in exile? Like, do you think that I know you're laughing, but you know.
Yeah, but here's the problem. I look, the way you speak, the way you speak, I like you already, because you sound like a very educated, intelligent guy. The difference between you and I is that I've been following this region for, let's say, 15 to, no, not 15, probably 20 years, since I was 14. And it started with the war in Iraq and some of the stuff I saw and what I decided to do even before I went to college. So what I'm telling you, and again, this is just me trying to explain to you. When you speak about the government in exile, you're right. You're referring to the supporters of the erstwhile Shah. in exile. There's a fringe of them, not so many. Iran is a country of close to 100 million people. So it's not possible for the regime in Iran to be sustained with 30% opposing it, as a matter of fact, or even 20 or 10%. So there is some population in Iran that don't like the government, but majority of them don't like the United States of America and they don't like Israel. And the history, you can go back in time to what happened even during the days of Mohammed Mossadegh in the 50s. I can tell you the history going back to the Qajar dynasty. The Iranians think differently. I understand what you're saying. Whatever you see on the news, coming from the Western press, the Iranians abroad in diaspora that can speak English, those are the ones you get access to, not the ones that speak Farsi and live. Some of them live abroad, their voices cannot be heard. The ones you hear are those that have access to Western media and they can speak English, and those are the ones that they. And by the way, the Shah, the son of the Shah, have been to Israel so many times and is seeking power from them, asking them to topple the government in Tehran. And this has been going on. They want to remove this government, to put the government in place that acquiesce to their tenants. And I understand what you're saying. You might not like this government. I also think that you're right. It's not okay to be chanting death to America, death to Israel, cursed be the Jays and whatever they're saying, which is sad to see. But if have you listened to Israeli rhetoric? I've been on this app. They say every single Gazan, some of them are saying every single Gazan is a T or a child of a T, and that they need to eliminate their seed. The Prime Minister himself said you have to treat them like the Amalek. The President, Isaac Herzog, says something in that light that this is war against human animals or something like that. So you have radicals that are saying these things. Do I agree with that? At this point, I don't care, to be honest. Maybe I don't. But the point here is I understand what you're saying. Just the same way you have your opinion. And by the way, you have Western thinking. You see Western technology and the contribution of the West to civilization and all of that. And I appreciate that. I probably do as well. But why I'm worried is that if the West is doing this to other countries unchallenged, and we have our different bias because we think these guys are Islamists and so on and so forth, and we're not going to support them or speak up, then we do it to Africans because they see us the same. They see us as barbaric, as uncivilized. The same language they are using against the Iranians and against the Palestinians, that is what the colonialists told us. That we're slaves, we're barbaric, we're back in the dark ages, we're uncivilized, and they need to bomb democracy into us. They did it in Libya, they did it in Chad, they did it, by the way, look, the history goes back in time. Most of our leaders that they took out, who took most of our leaders out? Of course, it's not Iran. You know who? The West. The same West is telling you the same thing right now, and you agree with them because you are somehow supple, you somehow like them because they are civilized and Western and Christians, and and they have this similar culture and whatever to us, and we speak the similar language.
That's what is civilized with them. They are not radical. You're dealing with people that are not radical. Those countries that their leaders are religion and they operate from religion point. They are fanatic, and there is no place on this earth for those leaders to run countries because the way they think it twisted, and this is the consequences.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? He's talking about the Pope in Rome. He's talking about religious leaders that are fanatic. He's talking about religious leaders that don't need to exist. The time they're done with the Muslims, they're coming for you and I. And I'm not talking about Jays. I'm talking about this group of elites.
I said
all the religious, including the Pope in Rome. They want the Pope in Rome gone. They want your religious leader, Pastor E. Adeboye, Paul Enenche. All of them are fanatics. That's what they're saying.
I'm Catholic. I don't believe in Pastor E. Adeboye.
No, but did you hear the language? This is a Yahudim talking to you. I want you to pay attention. Look, I listen to them. I've been following their politics pensively for, again, the best part of the past 15 to 20 years, and I listen to what they say. The same way you listen to what the other guys are saying that is negative, listen to what they're saying. Please, I beg you, any day these guys start raging, I will bring you there so they can hear. By the way, I'm going to send you a link of what they said about you and I. You and I, they want us to go back in chains. I'm going to send it to you.
Just to be neutral, I think
I just followed you back. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'm going to share with you what they think about you. They're not thinking about the Arabs, what they think about you. You don't listen to them. And because I'm opposed to them, they come and tell me the truth. They come here and they tell me the truth about how they feel about you.
Yeah, because my own personal experience, I've seen Muslims, especially Arabs, they say bad things about me as an African as well, even on this TikTok space. You understand? And not just that, we'll talk about Iran and people like Saudis, particularly my country, and geopolitics. I've seen them, or not seen, or I've seen reports of them funding these state groups that go about doing bad things. But when you talk about colonialism and the impact, we are not looking at these Islamic countries that are funding things. I think you are not actually putting it in a balanced scale. You are just like tilting to one particular point because you have to look at it in general, right?
Yeah.
You are funding TT people that are attacking civilians, obviously. And then you talk about colonialism, that happened back then, and probably colonizing. But somehow you want us to believe that these guys are.
So let me ask you. Can I ask you something? Tell me one group in Africa, in West Africa, that Iran is funding.
No, not Iran, but Qatar, probably.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But they don't have a problem with Qatar. By the way, believe I've been on record, and I'll tell you this: they are enslaving black people, Africans like you and I, in Libya. Some of these Arab countries are maltreating black people and African people. They think about us as well as the way these guys think about us. Last year, there were about 2 or 3 people that were unalived in Saudi Arabia as a result of the kafala system, beating them up as slaves and unaliving women that are going there to work. In the UAE, they are doing exactly the same thing. The Arabs in the Gulf are doing that to us as well. I'm not afraid of saying that. I'm nobody's Dini. I say whatever I want. This is my platform. I'm telling you right now. I look at the politics. I'm not a friend to them either. I'm only here to support Palestine. And for the reason I'm supporting them is because what they are undergoing is similar to what we underwent, to what we went through, sorry, if that's the right English word, in our own history. No, I don't like Qatar. Qatar spent close to $500 billion, or about 200 billion if you like, in Syria to remove Assad. They're funding terrorism in the region. Turkey brought in all the jihadists and fighters from across Central Asia and brought them to Syria. Saudi Arabia is funding jihadists in the Sahel of Africa. You believe, trust me, I've been there, I've moved on my foot on the ground in most of these places, Burkina Faso, Mali. Some of my friends from there that I met during the course of my project in Mali, some of them come on this stream. I've been there. I know what the Saudis are doing in Mauritania. I know what the United Arab Emirates is doing in Sudan. This is not what I'm saying. But that does not mean that Israelis are doing right because they are unaliving Muslims. Because this is the way you guys now see it, which becomes problematic. I'm able to separate these things and I say it the way they are. These same countries you are mentioning are the ones throwing the Palestinians under the bus. They will not help them. They will support Israel. Some of them will have discussions behind their back with Israel to throw them under the bus for the regimes in this country to stay. And I say the next country is going to be Egypt, because Egypt as well is somehow acquiescing and appeasing Israel. When I saw the situation in Gaza, I said Egypt will be next. I was wrong. It's Iran. Egypt will be hit. And that time I want to see how you respond. The Saudis as well.
There's no reason for Israel to hit Egypt.
Yeah, they already fought. They already had dogfights.
Every country in that region wants peace, with the exception of Iran. I have not heard anyone complaining for the last 2 years of Iran using every single proxy to attack the civilians within Israel. You're complaining about the civilians being attacked in other places, but Israel's civilians have been attacked non-stop. The only reason they haven't been unalived is because of the defense systems in place. It doesn't make it right, though. You have the Houthis, Hezbollah, you have Hamas. They've all attacked civilians. Where's that outrage? You're out here saying 10,000 civilians in Israel need to lose their lives.
Yes.
But they've been on top non-stop for almost 2 years. Where is that?
I didn't say 10. I said between 10 and 30K needs to be targeted to raise the stake.
But where's the outrage for the last 2 years of them being attacked non-stop?
Who's attacking them? So who's attacking them for the last 2 years on top? Are you in some kind of alternative reality? Are you in some kind of alternative reality? 60,000 people unalive in Gaza without a single outrage from the Yahudim across the world and from countries like the United States, and especially the Europeans. Don't come up here and cry to me. You unalive 60,000 people in Gaza.
I'm not crying, but it's the same thing on the other end. The only reason Israelis have to lose their lives is because of the defense systems. Hezbollah started shooting rockets on them October 8th for a whole year. For a whole year.
Acting to an action. It is action.
Before Israel attacked Lebanon a whole year.
These people, they're brainwashed. They're honestly
Brainwashed.